Ah, the nice sun breeze. I'm back. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Miko's Forever World, and today we've got a lot of different plans that we want to accomplish for today's episode. One of those is this particular species of sheep right over here. Him, this guy. Do you remember on episode 2 that we found this sheep bobbing in this massive lake? He's still there. He did not left at all. So we have to immortalize this moment. We've got to make something special just for these fella. Let's first transport this sheep over to that place. We cannot build anything here. Oops. There you go. Sir, you've been misbehaving. We have to transport him right over here, where we can build something much nicer, actually. Pretty nice. As I dig this hole down here, a lot of things have happened this past month. Yes, I was gone for a whole month. The biggest thing probably was Spain winning the World Cup. I did not expect that at all. I am an avid watcher of football and I did not expect Spain to win it. I expected France to win it, but they won it. So we're gonna call our sheep Feran in memory of the late game winner from Spain. We're just gonna build one big hole, one big room right over here where we can store water sheep for the time being. This will be your new room, okay? The more days you do not get out of here will be more days where this room will get much bigger. For now, this is it, okay? But look at me. If you do not get out of here. Hey, now my idea for this room is that this room will get much bigger the more days water sheep does not exit it. The more days he escapes or refuses to escape this room will be much bigger than it already is. Aside from our water sheep escapades, for our Feran escapades, we've got something big planned for today that will require us to go to our industrial district. If you guys didn't know, this is where our industrial district is. Just go through the mountains of our main base, through this massive glacial mountain, through these fields, and through the village that we found. This whole village over here. That's the big mountain. The crying mountain. I remember because of the waterfall. And towards this field or this area, this flatlands right over here, we can see our industrial district. Now, aside from our normal area, we actually established quite a few farms. First, and probably the most relevant for today's video, is our honeycomb farm, or honeycomb honey block farm. It is a manual farm, which is quite inefficient. Now, why am I emphasizing these farms right over here? That is because they look ugly. Them just lying around right over here looks kind of ugly in a sense. That's why today we have to build something that is quite nice to cover all of these farms out. And I've actually been starting to do it, to mine it actually. That being right over here. Right over here, I am planning quite a big build that is comprising of two builds. One smaller build or one smaller house right over here, and a much bigger cliffside house right over here that will span right about here. So one of the things that we have to do first is of course terraforming this whole area. So what are we waiting for? Shall we get started now with our base building? Because today, we've got farms to settle and farms to do. So hang on tight because it's about to get very farmy in today's episode. Whee! Yes. The area or the build is finally done with. Now, this whole build is meant to house all of my different farms in the general area. That is because I did not want them to be scattered or be roughly far away from each other, or roughly be scattered all around this particular area. So what I did here is built two houses, or specifically four different areas where those farms are to be kept. First and foremost, I want to talk about my walls that I used for the base of this whole thing, or actually the inspiration for this whole thing. Now, this whole area right here is primarily based on the Pottenstein Castle in Germany. Now, I haven't seen it personally, however, I looked at the photos and I was amazed by it. I was mesmerized by it actually. Let's go for our free cam. I had the idea to make this roughly diagonal staircase right over there, and aside from this roughly diagonal, I also had an inspiration to create these two stables, or these two houses right over here and over here. These two houses right over here and there also do serve different purposes. Let me give you a rough rundown. Let's fly to it. As we enter the castle, we are greeted by this stone staircase. Going up the stone staircase, we are greeted into two separate areas. Of course, it's a signature for me now to not build the back of things. So this whole base is just roughly good to look at one specific angle, this being the angle of it. But if you take a look at the backside, yeah, not so much fun to look at. But these two areas right over here are quite different. This is the first area. There's nothing over really here, but my 2 armadillos. However, I also plan to make this whole area or this whole building into a stable. Basically, I wanted to make an opening right over here to basically allow a horse to be situated right around here, or I could also open up holes, 2 holes actually, right over here. So kindly comment if you think that is a good idea to make this whole building a horse stable rather than an armadillo farm, or rather an armadillo breeder. Now aside from that, we also have a separate area right under this bridge. Obviously there is nothing on this, so we have to break this whole thing in order to see the massive amounts of reeds that we have, or sugar canes that we have just laying around. However, I might need reeds in the future for any other sense, so I might do an automatic version of this, or maybe create another area or another building just specifically for reeds. If we cover this up, we can continue with our base tour or with our building tour. Moving up the staircase, it's a bit finicky. However, if we move up the staircase, we are greeted by the second building and also this nice patio right over the center of things. Looking at the free cam of things, you can see this whole area can be sort of like a nice patio in order to look at all of the different buildings from afar. And also, I thought about making a statue right over here, like a sort of a Dark Souls inspired statue with a knight and a sword. However, I don't think it will fit on this patio, or it will look good on this patio, so that might be a conversation for another day. Moving forward from it, going up this staircase, we are now in the vicinity of the bee farm. Now this whole tree right over here, I spent how many hours designing this. I do not have any experience when it comes to building trees. This is my first attempt in building tree, and I must say so myself, it does look good for a first try. When it comes to tree building, or when it comes to tree designing, I do say so myself, it is quite a good job. I do say so myself. This is designed based on the hollow tree or the whomping willow, or just any willow tree that you might see. Now this houses my bee farm. This sort of hole right over here is my entrance to my bee farm. Moving down from it, we have all of my different bees. However, my only problem is that yes, it does give me honeycomb. However, what it fails to give me are honey bottles. As you can see, this top dispensers right over here stores all of my honey. However, those honey right over there could be harvested, but it's not being harvested. I just copied this redstone right over here, and I don't think it works quite well. Might have to change the design later on, but for now, the best thing that it goes on, or the best thing that it produces, is these honeycombs. Honey bottles, however, are a bit of another rad idea that might have to be established, or might have to be resolved on another day. Now moving forward, we have the second building, which will be a building roughly for our bamboo. We can see all of the different bamboos, and of course Enderbro, who's holding my that was loud. This whole area right over here is meant to be my bamboo farm. I planned to basically make a flying machine right over here. So basically it will push all of these bamboos out of the way, and then it be collected by a separate piston, or a separate hopper system right at the bottom of things. However, the space is a bit too limited, I think. So I might have to result into a separate piston mechanism, or a piston based bamboo farm, rather than a flying machine based bamboo farm. Now aside from those two buildings, this whole base is done for, or this whole build is pretty much done for. A few adjustment is of course needed to be made. First and foremost, as I was saying, first and foremost, the lack of grass in this general area. The lack of grass, the lack of stone or pebbles using stone buttons. There is such a lack when it comes to detailing all of the surrounding areas right over here. This is supposed to be a bee nest or a medieval bee nest. However, I do not have any available bees at the current moment. I'm still breeding them, so that might take a while. Another thing is that the backside of things, such as these backsides and also the backside of my other thing, is completely gone. I did not put any effort into basically detailing it. The front is all the detail, but the back is overly neglected. But I must say so myself, this whole tree system that I made, this is completely custom. I did not see any inspiration of this. This is completely by my hand, and actually, I just love it. I love my trees so much. I love the willow tree actually. This particular species of tree, I do love it. Same goes for the other one that I made. There's 3 in total that I had to custom make, but all of them look just phenomenal as trees. They look good. They look super good actually. And I will not change a single thing with them. They just look amazing and awesome. Well, aside from this general area, I also have something that I might have to ask all of you to do. For that to happen, we must go on our separate, different world. Our testing world, okay? Ready? Toop. Hello! Now, this right here is my creative world, where I had to basically test all of the different things out. As you can see, this was one of the test runs that we had. I basically used Lightmatica to basically copy it. However, this is a successful copy of that. But I have to ask you one thing, or I have to basically ask the future of this general area right over here. Now, this whole area is meant to be Diagon Alley, or this whole industrial district, I am planning it to be Diagon Alley, or in extension, the King's Cross. As you know, in this series, we are trying to recreate all of the different areas in Harry Potter, and one of those specific areas is the King's Cross, where we can find platform 9 3/4 and also the different shops that also encompasses your Diagon Alley. Now, one of the things that I am trying to basically explore is building the Gringotts Bank, and also in extension the Diagon Alley, or the alley itself. However, I have come in a quite the predicament actually. First problem when I was trying to figure this whole bank design out is, do I make it completely diagonal in order for it to be called the Diagon Alley, or could I just make it into a flat surface or a very rectangular surface? Because what happened here is that obviously this looks good on the front of things. It does look good on the front. However, going inside, we will have a separate issue when it comes to creating all of the different interiors for this whole build. And aside from that, we will also be having issues when it comes to building separate houses or the separate shops for these to work. We can basically test out my theory, because my theory is that if we make it completely diagonal, we will also need to build diagonal structures. That also includes houses and establishments. All of them will need to be built diagonally. If we make them diagonal, they lose all of their sense of detail. So we will have to make a less detailed house, a less detailed shop, compared to following the traditional axis of building, which is flat and square. This is the traditional sense of building houses. For example, we have the corner of a house. We can have flat surfaces where we can add more details to the build rather than it be plain looking like this one. However, if we built a Gringotts back with this sort of structure or with this sort of angle, we get a much more detailed houses but less detailed Gringotts bank on the front. Those be the two areas where I am completely concerned of with the future of this whole area. Because after we built this area right over here, we might build a few more houses, a few more things, and then we'll get on with building our version of the Gringotts bank and also the Diagon Alley. All of you guys that are watching this video, please do comment down below what do you think will best suit this particular future of ours. Will it be the diagonal Gringotts bank or the flat-sided Gringotts bank? Personally, I like the flat-sided Gringotts bank. All of the houses that I will have to make will be much more detailed, but the problem is, of course, the Gringotts bank itself would be less detailed. On the other hand, we can make the Gringotts bank diagonally, however, the houses would be less detailed and less ideal. So, I don't know. But aside from that dilemma, I believe this is all the time that I can offer you today. We have crowned our water ship, creating a sort of a mini house for it that will grow as the day goes on. We also remove all of the clutter in these separate areas and also built specific farms for them to thrive. And lastly, we have built the Pottenstein Castle from Germany, creating our own version of it. And I would say so myself, it is quite not only a detailed house, but quite an amazing marvel, creating all of these different trees, looking quite nice and also quite awesome. And as I always say, keep it current, stay tentacool, and squid up. Bye bye. Bye bye.